If you get in these relationships where you do everything she wants, you're always available, you adjust for her, you even drop things you like to do, because for some reason she seems to be unhappy with you in many different ways, and she's constantly bringing it up. And yet she still disrespects you no matter how you change. And likely, eventually, she left you. You're sitting here thinking, I did everything right, I showed up, I cared, I gave, I was patient, and somehow the relationship keeps going south. Why does this keep happening? Let me tell you something right now, man to man. You are losing them because you are being Mr. Nice Guy. I'm Garrett, and I have been in this kind of dynamic many times, and these relationships always crash for me. And it's like, what am I doing wrong? I'm the common denominator, but I don't get it. I'm being nice. I'm doing what they appear to want. But after I finally sat back and thought about it and started to look at me, I started to realize that I was living in the nice guy syndrome. So when we say we're a nice guy, we're not talking about a good man. We're not talking about someone who's kind, respectful, generous. Those are good qualities. A nice guy is a man who is constantly managing how he's perceived. He's careful. He's calculated. He's trying not to mess things up, and he's trying not to aggravate her. He doesn't want to say things that he really thinks. And he avoids conflict. He gives, hoping these things will restore the relationship. And she will treat you with love. And here's the truth, my friend. Most guys don't want to hear. A nice guy isn't actually nice. He's afraid. He's afraid of rejection. He's afraid of not being chosen. So everything he does is filtered through that fear. Essentially, he's trying to keep things safe. And it's not working. That creates a problem because attraction doesn't grow in safety alone. It grows in truth, in tension, in polarity. But the nice guy removes all that. He becomes predictable. He overgives. He creates these hidden contracts in his own head. If I do this, she should love me. And when she doesn't, now he's confused, frustrated, and becomes resentful, but doesn't say it because he's still trying to be Mr. Nice Guy. And over time, she starts to feel it. My friend, it's not conscious, not at first, but something in her starts to feel off. Like for her, there's no edge. There's no grounding in you. There's no leadership from you. There's no, I need to be earned as a man. And slowly she pulls away because inside, she doesn't respect someone who will fold anytime she pushes. Now, here's where this gets a little deeper. Because it's not just about you. There's a certain type of woman that the nice guy is drawn to. And you're going to definitely relate to this. That woman is looking for a nice guy. And most men don't realize this. You're often attracted to women who are emotionally unavailable, avoidant, sometimes even narcissistic in their tendencies. Why? Because she's hard to win. And that's the whole thing. She wants to be really hard to win. She actually doesn't want to be won, right? That's why she's looking for a nice guy that she can push around. That activates something inside of you when you are trying to win her over. That is the need to prove yourself, the need to finally be chosen. And when she gives you attention, it feels incredible. And then she pulls away. It hits even harder every time this happens. You start to get locked into a cycle when this starts to happen, of getting small pieces of respect. It's what they call breadcrumbing. And love, breadcrumbed love. So now you're hooked. Not just on her, but on the need to be chosen. And this pattern of her giving you just a little bit because she feels pressured to treat you with some kind of respect because you're pressuring her to love you and you're not being the nice guy, or you're being a nice guy about it. So what happens is she reinforces this pattern of keeping you more and more in the nice guy role. And this is where the loop gets locked in because she reinforces the nice guy in you. Not intentionally, but consistently. She gives you warmth, then distance. Connection, then withdrawal. Just enough to keep you in it, but never enough to keep you feeling secure. And my friend, as a man, security is very important for us. So what do? You try harder, you become more agreeable, more patient, more giving, you suppress your needs, and you suppress your frustration that's being caused by this behavior. Because you keep hoping that she will finally see that you really are a good guy and will become the dedicated, loving woman you've been wanting. When you finally do speak up about her rejections because this nice guy thing isn't working, you're getting really frustrated and it's too bottled up, she pulls back. When she gets cold, shuts down, or flips it on you. This is her pattern because she wants a nice guy that she can do that to because there's things in her that she doesn't want to be accountable to, especially in a committed relationship. So what do you learn? Don't rock the boat. And now she's got you trained, and you've trained yourself to abandon yourself, to lose your sense of masculinity and leadership as a man. And that is a shitty feeling for you. Now let's be clear about something. She's not sitting here thinking, how do I manipulate this guy? That's not what's happening. She's operating from her own wiring. If she's avoidant, closeness feels like pressure. It's a really weird thing that is in this avoidant type of personality. There's this anxious avoidant type of personality or relationship dynamic. An avoidant feels pressure and closeness. And the more intimacy is needed, the more she's going to pull back and the more pressure she feels. So you, as Mr. Nice Guy, are trying to get that connection, that closeness. And you're doing it because you're doing it by adjusting to what she is projecting out. But for her, distance feels safe when you're trying to push for closeness. If she has unresolved trauma, love feels unstable, when love should be calm, right? Calm feels boring. If she leans narcissistic, she craves validation, and she is going to brutally abuse your emotional stand through that. Now, this is where the ultimate Mr. Nice Guy gets sucked in. But this woman, she struggles with true connection. In fact, she doesn't even know how to create connection. So when you show up overly accommodating, overly giving, without boundaries, it doesn't create safety for her. It actually creates discomfort. Your softness is inviting her into closeness, and she doesn't like that, and she doesn't want that. And she responds in the only way she knows how, by pulling away. What she's covertly telling you in her action is, and this should piss you off, she's saying you are not a solid leader in our relationship as a man, and I don't respect that because of that. Or I don't respect you because of that. Here's the real question. Why do you stay? Why do you keep going back? Even when you know this isn't good for you. Because you're chasing the old version of her. And doing that, you are giving her all the power. What I mean by the old version is that version that you saw in the beginning where everything was like really intense, energetic, you guys were really enmeshed and you're having great sex. It all seemed perfect. But you've given her all the power over time because of her behavior. And then you're afraid to walk away. Because if you do, you might lose her for good. And deeper than that, you're afraid to not get her approval, not being her chosen one. Instead of asking, is she right for me? You're asking, what do I need to do to keep her? This is how we need to flip this nice guy thing on its head. So what she's actually feeling is, and this is the part that stings a little, because from her side, she doesn't feel grounded with you. She doesn't feel led. She doesn't feel the sense of strength that she needs from you as a man who is a masculine leader of a relationship. And because of that, she doesn't feel safe. Even if she says she wants a nice guy, what she responds to is a man who knows who he is, who stands in that, who isn't afraid of tension, because she can feel it. When you're holding yourself back, your real true self, over time, that kills the attraction. So what's the opposite of Mr. Nice Guy? Well, it's not an asshole. It's not a guy who's cold or dismissive. It's the opposite of a nice guy is a grounded man, a man who is honest with himself, even when it's uncomfortable, a man who has boundaries, standards that say, this is how I'm going to be treated from now on. And when we fall into nice guy syndrome, we don't have those boundaries. So they're pushing us around all over the place. And that's what gives you that feeling of a moving target with her. The grounded man gives because he chooses to, not because he's trying to earn something, which is what the nice guy does. A man who leads himself is the grounded man. And if something doesn't align with that grounded man, he's willing to walk away. This is what nice guys don't do. They're not willing to walk away. He's not trying to be liked. He's being real as a self-leader. And that self-leadership blends out or leaks out or portrays out to the world, and that is very attractive. So you need to reclaim your masculinity. So this is where masculinity comes in, because masculinity, you as a man, it's not about controlling her. It's not about dominance or force or anything that's pushing her in some direction, trying to force her. It's control over yourself, your emotions, your standard, your direction. It's the ability to calmly stand firm in his boundaries without becoming reactive. This is where, when you're a nice guy or a softie and you're getting pushed around a lot, this is when you have to step back and say, what am I doing? I'm the one that's getting pushed around. I'm the one who feels like shit. I'm the one that is not protecting myself and not being a leader in my relationship. Women want leaders in their relationship. I definitely figured this one out after quite a few relationships, and particularly in the last relationship I was in. She liked me being a leader. She felt safe that way. However, she had underlying trauma that she hadn't resolved, and we can't resolve their trauma. We can support them working through it, but we can't be the one who they outsource the solution to. And this is an interesting thing. When someone like who's avoidant or narcissist, they generally have trauma of some kind where they're afraid of closeness, and they have this sense of not love isn't safe. Then what they'll do is they will create unsafe conditions for you, or they'll outsource that safety responsibility to you, which is really their responsibility. And this is where you stay grounded, even when things are uncomfortable. That's where your strength is that kills Mr. Nice Guy. The strength kills Mr. Nice Guy and reinvents you into the grounded man. When you take the time to look in the mirror and say, who is this guy I am looking at? And what is he doing that makes his relationships go south, that he doesn't feel good about? And then what do I need to change? And who do I need to go to give me guidance? Because you can't really do this yourself. The reason I say this is because think of it like this. We live in our own bottle. We see the world through our own filters, but we can't see the label on the outside of the bottle. And that's where it takes a coach or a mentor to help you see this. So the coach can actually help you see this mirror of who you're being and how to start changing it. So this is where it comes back to you. Because at some point, you've got to be able to look at yourself in that mirror and be honest and ask yourself, have I been too passive? Where are you holding back and not expressing what you really think? Where are you tolerating things that you didn't know or that that don't sit right with you? If you've been a pushover, not just in relationships, but in other aspects where you feel like other people have control of you, you are not a self-led man. You're not a leader. And so you really need to build that up. Now, every man can get there. It takes time and it takes a lot of looking at you, and it's kind of painful because you got to look at the weak sides of you. What you need to do is look at what you actually want in your life. What will you tolerate? What will you not tolerate? What is your interest? What is your long-term desire? Because until you define that and decide you're going to be that person and reinforce your inner world as a leader of yourself in these things, you need to step back from relationships. Once you do this, you will find that you will start to love yourself. And what will happen is your love relationships will improve and your overall relationships will improve at work, at home with your family, or whatever it is where you feel that you're not a strong enough person. If you don't, you'll keep bending. You will keep adjusting yourself to fit someone else. And I hate to say this, if you're doing that, you're a pushover, and we don't want you to do that anymore. And I hope that statement pisses you off, and I hope you can accept that. It hurts, it stings when you hear that. But acknowledge that in yourself. The first thing you do is acknowledge that in yourself, and then you say, I am not going to be that man anymore. I am not going to be a pushover. I am going to be a self-led man, and then you're going to go through the journey to change that. And it's going to take a year or two to change that. It takes a long time, but if you don't, 2 years, 3 years down the road, 5 years, 10 years, it's going to be the same old shit. Remember, I've been here several times until the day I said no more. That's when I stepped away from relationships and started to rebuild the person that I am now. When you do this work, when you really get clear on who you are and what you stand for, and integrate this into your natural way of being, it's like changing the program within you, everything shifts. Everything. The whole world changes around you to fit that new person. It's kind of like this. You recreate who you are, and then you attract those things that you are. So if you're Mr. Nice Guy, you're a softie, you're a pushover, right? You're attracting that into your life. You're unconsciously bringing that to you, and it sucks. When this stuff changes, when you do this work, you will walk differently. Your shoulders will be up, your head will be back. You'll be so confident. You'll speak differently. There's certainty within you, and you have little problem saying no when you want to say no. And that energy, it projects out, and women feel it. Everybody feels it. That's leadership, not controlling them, but leading yourself. It's a natural way of being, and women love leadership. And here's what happens. The woman who can sense your self-leadership, she'll meet you there. She'll lean in instead of leaning out, leaning into the relationship. And the ones who can't lean in, the ones who don't have the capacity to basically submit to your leadership as a man, they'll fall away. They can't handle it because a grounded man will call out her behavior. He won't tolerate what doesn't align, and he won't tolerate disrespect. And that's uncomfortable for someone who is avoidant or who can't look at herself. When you operate in these patterns, you force them to look at themselves. And if they don't have the capacity to do that, to see their own behaviors, they will run. Not because you did something wrong, but because you did it right. And those are the ones you want to run. You stopped playing the role of Mr. Nice Guy and became the grounded man who is the leader of himself. So what do you do with all this? Once you've taken the time to work on this part of yourself, you start small. You say what you actually think without over-explaining. Mr. Nice Guy is always over-explaining, trying to convince her to get you and back off. You stop trying to manage her emotions, which is exactly what you're doing when you're being a nice guy. Believe it or not, it's a covert way of trying to manage her emotions when she is complaining and is a moving target and you're trying to adjust around, you're trying to manage her emotions so that she will balance out and settle down. Brother, that's a train wreck. That's where you just stand up, and once you learn, you say, this stops here. I'm not doing it like this. We are going to start doing this differently. And if you don't want to, you can leave. Let tension exist. Tension is actually very attractive. What I mean by tension and polarity is tension is when something happens and you don't rush in to fix it. You stand firm. You stated your case in a few words and you didn't over-explain it. You just stated your boundaries, whatever happened, and then you step back. Let her think about it. You don't smooth it over or resolve every moment of discomfort just to keep things feeling good. That's the worst thing you can do. When there's a disagreement, a pause or emotional distance, instead of chasing or over-explaining yourself, apologizing too quickly, or apologizing for something you shouldn't apologize, just to try to win her back in that moment, you become the softie. You need to stay grounded in who you are. If they did something that wasn't your fault, you don't apologize. You state your rule as a grounded man, the self-leader, and then you let her make the decision for herself. And it feels really good because the ones that will make the decision in the right way are going to respect you a lot more. When you step back in these events, when crap happens and she's being a bitch or whatever she's doing, she's not working with you, and you step back, you allow space for her to feel what she feels without trying to manage it. And you don't abandon your position just to restore peace. That's what tension is. When handled with calm authority and certainty, it isn't a threat to the relationship. It's actually what creates respect, authenticity, and real connection. Watch where you're giving to get something back. And most importantly, be willing to lose that relationship if she's not willing to step up. If you're willing to lose yourself for the sake of keeping the peace, that's the moment that you are going to crash and you're training her to treat you with more disrespect. But when you hold up, you stop losing yourself. And it's the moment she starts respecting you. My brother, this isn't about becoming someone else. It's not about being less kind. It's not about changing who you are, and it's not about shutting down. It's about removing what isn't real. It's about becoming the authentic you who is a self-leader. Losing the Mr. Nice Guy in you doesn't change who you are as someone who cares. You don't need to stop being a good man or stop being nice. Losing Mr. Nice Guy sets the internal standard that will keep you from abandoning yourself to win approval of others. A true good man is grounded in who he is. He is a leader of himself first. If this video resonated with you, give me a comment down below or subscribe. Or if you know somebody who really needs to get this message, pass this video on to them. And I'll catch you in the next video.